Hi guys, it's Gary Durbridge of GD Photographer in Southend-on-Sea. I've been asked quite a few times by my followers, mainly on Twitter and Facebook to be honest, about what equipment I take with me when I do a wedding. So I'm actually just preparing my gear for tomorrow's wedding. So what I thought I'd do for you is make a short video of all the camera equipment that I take to a wedding with me. I am going to be sharing this on YouTube afterwards, so if you are watching it on YouTube and I am talking about Periscope, I apologise. I don't know if any of you guys have used Periscope yet, but basically it's a video sharing social networking site by Twitter, which I've just started using. So far it's pretty cool. I'm still getting used to it at the moment. If you're watching on Periscope, please don't forget to give me the hearts by tapping on the screen, and you can do this in the replay mode as well as the live view mode. So here we go, let's have a look at what I take with me. So I'm just going to flip the camera around 1 second. By the way, the quality of this isn't great, obviously it's just being filmed on my iPhone. So first of all, my three camera bodies, you can see them there actually with lenses attached at the moment. So my main camera body, this one here on the right hand side, is the Canon 5D Mark III. It's a fantastic camera. To me, it's the best camera Canon have made for wedding photography. The low light capabilities are just amazing, and I just can't do my job without it. If it broke, I'd be on the phone ordering another one straight away. Now, the most important thing about when you're doing someone's wedding is obviously having backup equipment. So you can see here I have two backup cameras too. This one on the right hand side again is the 7D. This one here is another 5D. So what that means is if during a wedding day my cameras were to go wrong, I can soon just get out a backup and the bride and groom wouldn't have even realised anything's gone wrong. Obviously the last thing you can do on a wedding day is say to the bride and groom, "Oh, sorry guys, my camera's broke. I've actually got to stop now." It doesn't really work like that, unfortunately. So next up are the lenses I use. You can see the range of lenses I use here. So let's start from left to right. First of all, here we have a 100mm macro lens. This is my details lens. So this is for using when I'm shooting the rings, the flowers, the jewellery. It gets really amazing details. And it is just an amazing lens. It does also work as a portrait lens, however personally I don't use it as a portrait lens, as I think I've got better lenses I'm about to show you for portraits. However, like I said, for things like the ring and stuff, it's not a much better lens than this. That's the Canon 100mm, and that is a 2.8 throughout, so it's a nice low light lens too. Next up here we have the 135mm. Again, it's a prime lens, 135mm f2, so it's extremely fast lens. It's very sharp. It's also fairly light, and it is a portrait lens. I use it predominantly for engagement shoots and portrait sessions. Originally I was using the lens which I'm about to show you, 70-200, for a lot of my portraits, and although it's a fantastic lens, it was getting very heavy carrying it around, especially for long periods at a time. So I've moved on to this lens. It is an L lens. It's 135mm f2 if you want to check it out online. It is an L lens, but it's a very affordable L lens, to be honest. Considering the quality of it, it was probably one of my best purchases I've ever made. I believe I got it at around £600, which for the quality of the lens was just an absolute bargain. And at first, I'm not a massive prime lens user, to be honest with you, although I've got three here I'm about to show you. At first I didn't think I was going to get much use from it. I'm quite surprised just how much use I've actually got from them. So yeah, 135mm, check it out. Next up we have a 24-70. Now, any of you that are already in wedding photography will probably have heard of this lens many times before. This is my workhorse. I use this lens for 95% of the day. It just covers everything. You've got from wide angle for group shots, right up to a semi-portrait lens at the longer end. To be honest with you, when I do go on to do the bridal portraits, I always put on either the 135mm or the 70-200. However, it still is a brilliant lens, and like I said, I use it for pretty much everything. During a wedding day, you're always rushed between situations. It's not like a portrait. Sorry about that, guys. I lost connection for a second then. I was just saying, during a wedding day, this lens here is called the 2470, Canon 2470mm. It's an f2.8, so it's the lowest aperture you can go down to is 2.8, which means it's great for low light photography. Obviously, when you're doing weddings, you're often in churches, etc. So these low light lenses are absolutely essential to me. So all my lenses are between f2. Even I have one that goes down to f1.4, so what that means is I can shoot in low light with no problems at all. The cheaper end of the market, the lenses are sort of f4 to 5.6, and the problem is if you get in a really dark venue, you're going to be struggling for light a lot of the time, and most vicars and registrars don't actually allow flash throughout the ceremony, so you could cause yourself some problems. So again, just confirming, that's the Canon 2470mm f2.8, fantastic lens. And if you were saying to me, I'm just starting wedding photography, what lens should I buy? That would be the one I'd pick. Next up we have the Canon 7200. This again is a 2.8 throughout. It's a fantastic fast lens. It is great for portraits, and at the long end it has an amazing bokeh where the background just goes really creamy and buttery, and it is absolutely stunning. This is the older lens, as I've actually had this for a few years now. I believe now I think there's at least a Mark II, if not there's a Mark III. I know the Mark II with the IS, the image stabilizer, is supposed to be absolutely fantastic. To be honest with you, I'm amazed with this one, so that one must be out of this world. Next up we have the Tokina 11 to 16mm. To be honest with you, I don't have a great deal for these sort of ultra wide angle lenses. When I first got this lens, it was actually for nightclub and event photography, which I was doing a lot of at the time. And at the time I was actually using a crop sensor too, so I needed something a bit wider than 24mm, which is the lens we spoke about 2 lenses ago. So I actually got this lens. Again, it's a 2.8 lens, so it's nice for low light, it's very fast. I'm very pleased with it. To be honest with you, as you can imagine, it doesn't compare to the Canon L lenses. However, it's something I've still got in the bag because you never know when I might need it. I haven't got around to selling it, so I keep it in there just for a backup. Lastly, you have the 50mm 1.4. Again, this is another lens a lot of people told me when I first started, 8 years ago, get a 50mm. I'm not disagreeing with them, but to be honest, I don't use it as much as a lot of photographers do. It is a fantastic lens, and it is 1.4 throughout. You can also get a much cheaper version, which is a 1.8. I believe you can actually get one of them for under £100, around £90 or so. And for a 1.8 lens, that's a very affordable price. It is a fantastic lens, but I find it just a bit too wide for portraits and stuff, which is what I do a lot of. So anyway, let's go on to the next bit. The next bit is all my lighting equipment here. You can see I've got 4 flash guns at the moment. Until recently, I was actually using the speed lights, the 580 speed lights. Sorry, ignore me. It shows how long since I've used them. They're the 530 speed lights. Yes, the Canon 530 speed lights. And I started having a few problems with them because I'd absolutely battered them, to be honest. I'd used them for years and I hadn't stopped flashing for the last 7 years or so, so they really did take a good hammering. And I found, can I use these on a Nikon? Yes, you can. You can find these on a Nikon too. These are called Yongnuo. The reason I actually went for them is they are around 1/3 of the price of the Canon speed lights. I don't know how they compare to the Nikon range. I believe the Nikon range is the SB, I think. Don't hold me to that, as I know nothing about. But like I said, these flash guns were comparing in price at about 1/3, and because I do use them so much, and unfortunately I am bashing them about and dropping them, I'd much rather have something like this that if I did drop it and break it, it's only £60 or £70 to replace, rather than a Canon Speedlight, which is £300 or £400. There's 2 different styles here, although they all look the same. These 2 up this end are actually they're ETTL capable, so it means you can use them in automatic modes as well as manual. These ones up this end are fully manual. The reason I brought these as well is they actually work with this little trigger here. What that means is I can fire these from off camera using this trigger. the cool thing about them is this trigger actually allows me to control the powers. Can you see there? It's giving me the different groups A, B and C, and if you go to the next page there's actually another 3, D, E and F. There's 6 channels that you can use, and you can individually power each one from the back of your camera. Before, when I was using the speed lights, I was having to run to the flash guns, change it, or I was having to say to my assistant, "Can you change it?" And it was just time consuming, you know. With this trigger here, I can do it all from my camera. I never have to leave my spot. Once I've found my spot, I can control all my lights. I can get them set, and away we go. So talking about lighting, on to the next thing. We've got here a light meter. A lot of people see light meters as sort of old technology now. Personally, I wouldn't do off-camera flash without it. I think it's absolutely essential, and I use it a lot for my off-camera flash. I don't use it so much for the ambient lights and stuff, but for my flash photography, my off-camera flash photography, it just makes it so fast to get correct settings. The next few bits I'm not going to talk about massively. I might well do another sort of periscope later on about these in more detail, but my colour correction tools, I suppose you can say. I've got 2 different ones here. This one's here, the colour checker. Basically the way this works, it actually comes with a software, and you line this up, you photograph it, and then when you import your images, you can import this too, and Photoshop sort of see the colours, and with that software it sort of understands what colours they should be, and if your white balance is slightly off, it knows how to correct them to get them to the colours they should be. Obviously that's not the best technical term, and if you wanted to find out more, I'm sure if you give Colour Checker a search, you'll be able to find a lot of good reviews online. But I've used it occasionally. It's probably good for when I do my corporate work and I'm photographing brands, and the colours are essential, but I have to admit I don't use it so much at weddings, etc., just for time restrictions. Looking back now, I probably wouldn't have brought something like this for a wedding, as like I said, you just don't get time. Well, I don't get time to use it. You photographers that do, obviously you're very lucky. You have loads of time. This one here is the Expo disc. Basically the way this works is you actually put it over the top of your lens, and that gives you the is it 18% grey that your camera's looking for. So what that does is you can take a photograph with that covering your lens and then set your custom white balance to that. It's very clever, and it does work fantastically. Again, I'm not going to go into the technical details of it. These are available in different sizes for different filters, as obviously all cameras have got different size lenses. This one's 52mm, and I think this one here is a 72mm. So obviously you need to find one that covers most of your lenses. Again, I'm not going to go into it massively, as I'm probably it's just too time consuming going into it, but I do use it now and then, but again not that much. Most of the time I set my white balance to one white balance setting, for example cloudy, and I make the corrections afterwards in Photoshop. I can then synchronize all the settings in that location. Once I've made the edit to one, I can then sync them all together and make the colors match throughout. So that's the way personally I do it. Last couple of bits, we have here some light modifiers. We have like a mini softbox, and we have a couple of sort of on camera on flash snooty type things. I actually use hairbands to hold them on. This one here is another sort of light modifier, and then lastly we have a DIY light modifier. This is actually called the black foamy thing, named by a photographer called Neil in New York City. I believe his name's Neil Van Kirk or something like that. He's a great photographer, and he writes a fantastic blog called Tangents. So if you were interested in finding out some really cool tips about lighting and off-camera flash, I can't remember his exact name, but if you search something like Neil Van Tangents on Google, you'll find him straight away, as his blog has thousands of viewers. I actually got this idea off him. It's actually just a bit of a yes, I do have a website for my photography. It's gdphotographer.co.uk. That's a great question, and I probably should have got that in before then. But as I said, it's gdphotographer.co.uk. If you just search Gary Durbridge on Google, you'll also find me. But please check out my work. Let me know what you think. So again, going back to the black foamy thing. basically all it is it's actually part of a mouse mat cut up. What this does is you can sort of flag your flash. So when you're using off-camera flash, you can flag it to stop the direct flash from hitting the subject, and this directs the flash towards a wall, for example, and then you can create a nice bounce flash off the side walls. It works fantastic. It's a really cheap way of doing it. I think I brought the mouse mat from Pound Shop or something, and it's a couple of hairbands, so you're talking a £1.50 light modifier, which does work absolutely fantastic. Lastly, the little bits, I've just got the memory cards out for now, but you can guess the sort of bits other bits I have: memory cards, batteries, spare flash batteries, spare camera batteries. I do also take my chargers with me just in case. I've never had to use them yet, but you never know if your camera's just needed a charge. The way this works, this little pouch, it stays on me. What that means is, if my gear ever got stolen, I can replace my gear. I'd cry because there's probably £10,000 worth of gear here, including all my other stuff. However, I'd get over it. These memory cards will have images from clients' work. Obviously, ex-work I would have backed up, but from the client's wedding day. If I lose these, I've lost the photos. They can't be replaced. So this stays on my belt. There's a sort of I don't even know what you call that, but it attaches to my belt here. It stays on me all day. When I use a memory card, I replace it backwards. What that means is it's just easy for me to see which ones I've used and which ones are free to use. When I get home from the wedding, these are uploaded straight away, and I back them into a cloud space, and I also back them up onto a hard drive on my computer. It just means that I have an on-site and an off-site backup, just in case anything did ever happen to my computers, etc. I've still got an off-site backup. So that's a very quick preview of some of the gear I take to a wedding. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. If you're watching on Periscope and you're watching my replay, don't forget to tap the screen to give me some hearts. It can even be done in the replay mode. You don't have to be watching live to give me the hearts. Like I said, I am very new to Periscope, but I am hoping to do a lot more tips on photography, business, and even just general periscopes on things I'm interested in. So I hope you enjoyed going through this today, and hopefully I'll catch up with you soon. If you did want to follow more of my videos, you can check out my profile, give me a follow, and you'll then get flagged up next time I'm online. Unique Lexi Q, is that correct? I don't know how to pronounce your name, sorry. You are most welcome. I hope it was interesting, and I hope it was slightly helpful. Do you have any questions at all? I will keep talking while I ask that question. I know sometimes there's a slight delay between me speaking and you typing, so I don't want to just go silent until you reply. But I was just wondering, if you have any questions, please fire away. I'll be happy to help. I'll wait for 30 seconds or so, and then I'll presume you have none. So yeah, guys, I hope you all using Canon and not Nikon. If you're using Nikon, then unlucky. I'm joking. They're still fantastic cameras, I promise. I presume there's no questions coming in. I can't see anything, so I'm going to be checking out now. Like I said, if you're watching this on YouTube instead of Periscope, I will be uploading this. Please just give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I will be posting more videos soon. Thanks very much.